All right, welcome back. Well, we just had a couple of heavy lessons there. I'll open up our web app folder here in My Apps. This is the web app we've been working on. Open this up, and I'll just recap what we were just working on in the last couple of lessons. First of all, we updated our app.js file to nominate extra functionality via some packages that we were going to use. We also said we're going to write some of our own functionality, and this is where it's to be found in the routes folder and also in the models folder. And we updated the models folder and the routes folder by adding some code and some files that provide those instructions. We had a look at the model, the account model, and we're going to look at the routes in a little more detail in a moment. We also added some views that are the front end, are the HTML that is rendered to the user after our functionality executes. Great. So that's our folder. I'm going to go back one level, just one level here. Can I do that there? No. I'm going to just go back to my apps. There we go. I'm going to go into there. I'm going to fire up the terminal. I'm doing this because we had some heavy lessons, and I'm assuming you went away and had a nice cup of tea, shut down your computer, scratched your head and came back. And you always need to know how to get back into that environment of development that you were in before. So remember, we CD into our web app, My Apps folder, My Apps, and we can hit / and we can put Jump Club in here and get straight into the Jump Club folder. There we are. We also know that we've installed NodeMon, so if we type NodeMon in here, a web server will fire up. There it is. It's opened a connection via Mongoose, and it's ready to go. So the next thing we can do is start working on our app, and we just grab the Jump Club folder and drag it onto VS Code. Now, last time, I'm going to shut the welcome page. Last time we finished with an app that looked like this. I'm going to hit localhost 3000, and there it goes. And this is what it looked like. Okay, now I need to explain what's happening here. We've hit the index page. We've got no nominated special page here. And we've got two pages, the login page that's working, great. And if I go back, we'll also see that the register page is working. Quick recap on what's happening here. I hit the index page. I'm going to open up app.js. I hit the index page, and down here, we've told it to, when you hit the index page, use the index router. So the index router location is nominated way back up here. The index router, there it is. Use the index router. What's happening in the index router? Well, it's in the routes folder. You see that. Open it up, and it says just send the user to the index file with the title of the page Jump Club nominated. Okay, just do that. Just send them straight there. Okay, so when we got there, it sent us over to the index page, which is here, and the index page now looks a little bit different. So I've extended the layout. We looked at the layout.pug view in the last lesson. Let's have a quick look at that. The first thing that loads is the layout file. So it's common to every page is the layout file. So this loads at the top, and we know that it's doing that because we've got this extends layout line at the top. So the first thing that happens when the view is loaded is the layout pug is loaded, this code, the top of the HTML tagging, and then this is loaded. We extend the layout with some block content and a container, which then has some code in it. And that code looks very much like what's in our browser. So we've got here in our pug the availability of some code or some language that allows us to make choices. So if we just show the title like we've been working, we already knew how to do that because that was in our default express functionality, but we've also got some extended stuff here that says if there's a user, then show the please log in stuff. Please log in and an href or a link to the login page. Straight over to the login page over here. If there is a user, then just welcome them by name. Tell them, say, welcome Adrian, or whatever my username is. In this case, it's going to be an email address, and offer them the chance to log out. So just do that. Now, because we haven't logged in, we're not going to see. We know that there is no user right now, so it's going to show us this stuff, which is what we're seeing over here. Please log in or register. Okay, so when we hit one of these, we hit the login route. The login route, and the login route is going to tell us to do something else. So, you know, the app.js, when we nominate what page we want at the bottom. So when a user tries to hit the login page, what happens? Well, we're going to use the instructions in the logins route, which is to be found in the routes folder. So in the routes folder, the login route says when someone tries to hit the login page on a get, so we're on a not a special request, just a get request. We will learn a little bit more about that. Just render the login page, please, and off it goes. So we're doing that now. We're going to hit the login page, and it's going to try to load up the login page, which is right. The login route sends us onto the login view. Great. So what does it look like? The login view. It's got again, extends the layout, so the layout loads. We've then got a couple of spaces here, a container, and what's called a jumbotron. Now we'll see the jumbotron come into action later on when we add some more code. But for now, you know that we see the login right here. We see a heading style for that, and then we see the word login, and then we see a form down here, and that's what we're seeing down here. We see the email part of the form, we see the password part of the form, and then we see a button that is for logging in. Great. So if we got it all right before, not only will we see this, but it will now work. So I'm going to go back to, well, if I try to log in now, nothing's going to happen because we haven't registered yet. So we need to register as a user first. Great. This is where we come to learn a little bit about our database. So we're going to fire up MongoDB Compass that we installed in one of our earlier lessons. I'm going to fire this up. Now, remember I said that this thing's a client for MongoDB, so it's going to allow us to look at our databases and the contents of them. But we first need to make the connection between MongoDB and the database itself. Well, we know that the database connection was saved in our .env file in one of our former lessons. So let's open that up and let's just copy this stuff, copy that whole line and paste it into the connection. So the same connection that is used by the app will now be used by MongoDB Compass to connect to the database. Oh, what do I need to do? Oh, I don't need this database equals stuff at the start here. Just delete that. And I'm going to connect now using this connection string, and it's going to connect to our database. There it goes. So our database connection now shows the database service running on our local machine because we nominated that connection. Now these are the databases that currently live on our machine, the admin, the config, and the local database. And this local database looks like it has a collection in it already. So this is all the default stuff that comes with the database install. And if I open that up, I see the collection, and it's got a startup log in it, which tells me all of the times that the database server was started. Terrific. So this is an example of how we can navigate our databases. Now we don't see our database yet, the one that we're going to use for our app. We don't see that database in here yet. We're going to see Mongoose create that for us when we try and register our first user. So let's have a look. Go back to our browser down here. We're going to hit the register page, and we're going to just use anything at all. I'm going to, well, let's put, I'm going to just use AA@AA.com. And I'm going to say AA is my password. It can be anything. This is a very rudimentary login form, or register form, and I'm going to hit register. Now, if it worked, oh, there, it's going to tell me that I've got a crappy password. Okay, but you see what happened? It logged me in. it must have created the database okay, because it's welcomed me back as aa@aa.com. Thank you very much for the welcome. But that means that what must have happened is my register form hit the register route, and it hit this post. So when you enter a form, the same route gets hit with a post request rather than a get request. So a get request is just a simple get me this page, but a post request is what happens when you hit a go button on a form. So you post to this, and when you hit the register route with a post request, it says register the user as you find in the form. So this one here, the rec.body.password is the form input for the password, and the rec.body.username is the form that we'll find if we go to our register pug. We'll find that stuff here. So we've got a username and password. There we go, in the register pug, and then back here in our register route. Where was that? Register route. We're saying take that stuff. When you get a post request, take that stuff and put it, register them in the database, and then log them in, and then send them off to the homepage. So I know it's complex. It looks complex, but it's really quite simple when you understand that. We've just hit the register.js route with a post request. Now it's posted from a form. You can work that out. And when you do that, take the form stuff and make the new account in the database. If that works, then log them in using Passport and then redirect them to the homepage, which is exactly what we saw happen here. We were logged in, we were redirected to the homepage, and of course we know that the homepage, which is index.pug here, says if there's a user, and now there is. If there's a user, welcome them by name and offer them the chance to log out, which it's done. So this is working fine. The extra special bit about this is we should now see, if we go back here to MongoDB Compass, we should now see, if we refresh this, we should see our database has been created for us by the app, and it has, JumpDB. Now we know it was created by the app because we asked the app here in Visual Studio Code, we asked via the .env file, we asked it to call the database jumpdb. So it's been created by the app, and if we return here to MongoDB Compass, and we open this up, we'll now see the accounts collection has been made, and if we open the accounts collection, we'll see the user that we created. Fantastic. This salt here, so we see the username by name. This salt is how Passport instructs the database to store the password so that it's not obvious, so that it can't be read by someone who hacks into this database. This is a secret for secret hashing of our database, of our password. Before we leave this lesson, I'm going to create another user. I'm going to log out here so you can see it happen again. And you can think about all of the things that are happening in order to get our next user registered. So I'm going to register the next user. It's going to be bb@bb.com. And my password is going to be bb, easy. Let me just bb, make sure I got that right, and register the next user. Okay. It's welcomed us back, bb.com, and given us the chance to log out. And if we refresh our MongoDB Compass, we'll see that the second user was made. Here, this little refresh button here, we'll see that the second user was made, and we now have two users in our database, BB and AA. Great. So this is working fine, and we've come a long way in the last 3 or 4 lessons. We've created a site, we've added some functions, we've used those functions to create a user or 2 users and some views that help our app come to life, I suppose. Great. So if you've come this far, you're ready for the next step.